Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Crista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we are going to be diving in and talking about creating content that sells. And I am so excited to have Ron Ben Joseph on the show with me. And so, fun fact, Ron helped me with video quite a bit in my business. And I've referred many people over to Ron since. So I'm really excited to share his amazing knowledge with all of you today, because I think you're going to get a lot out of this episode. So Ron, I'm so excited you're here. Let me tell everybody a little about you, and then I want to hear all the things. So Ron Ben Joseph is a content marketing creator and strategist. He spent the past 15 years empowering professionals to overcome their fears of sharing their messages and stories. And he does this by helping them organize their content into a tight narrative structure that's the basis for all effective storytelling. So he's worked with Broadway actors, he's worked with heart-centered professionals, he's worked across a wide variety of fields, and he's really proud to have been able to help hundreds of people find their voice and share it confidently. So Ron, welcome.
Thank you, Krista. I have to tell you, as hearing the bio now, I need to change it. It's 20 years now. It's like over 20 years. And I left at 15 and then I just felt really old. you know, it's not like, it's just like, I was like, that just hit me. I was like, no, it's like 20 years.
Yep, I am. I've been saying 21 years for this entire year. And then I realized I've only got like another 2 weeks and I'm going to have to change my story to 22 years. The numbers just keep going up.
Numbers, which is a gift, right? It's better than the alternative. But like, I definitely like it. Just I always thought I was gonna be young, And now my kid like looks at my hair and she's like, it's say goodbye, time to go. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I love it. So I think you guys can tell already this is going to be a fun conversation today. All right. So one of the things that I want to dive into with you, and I want to start with, is I feel like we hear all the time we need to find our voice, or what is your signature story? And we hear a lot about the importance of storytelling, but I think some people can get tripped up on it. And so what is finding your voice or having that story? What does it mean to you, and why is it so important?
Yeah, when we talk about voice and story, it's really what is that big conflict that has arisen in your life, that has presented itself, that was a gift, but that was really challenging. And how did you overcome it? Or how are you overcoming it? That right there is what I'm finding. So our stories, I think, really revolve around us having a conflict that we care about, that we somehow interact with, and then ultimately overcome. That's what's interesting.
So how do you choose? Because I think so many of us probably have had, many different challenges throughout our life. And so how do you pick which stories to tell when?
Great question. So I personally, not to be a jerk, I find that if you're in a presentation and someone is like, this happens a lot where they're like, I'm a great storyteller. I'm a great storyteller. And I don't think I am. I'm saying like some people are like walk around with that, like I'm a great storyteller. And they have it's like a concert of they have 30 stories in their speech. And this just like in a concert, like it does sometimes like I think a concert should have songs that flow where one goes into the next, and makes sense. A lot of times they'll just cram in 30 stories just cause, and it's overwhelming. We lose interest, right? So the notion of picking, I would say, look at the thread. Is there a commonality in all these stories? Is there one thing that you really wanted, and how did you get it or not? So I'm a huge fan. As you can see here, like Rocky. I love the Rocky movies. So there's 47 Rocky movies now. But if you look at them as a canon, if you look at them as an overall arc for Rocky, the main character, from Rocky 1 to Creed 2, he has a journey that's very consistent. He wants to leave a legacy. He wants to not just be another bum from the neighborhood. And he does it. He literally in these 7 movies sets out, or 8 movies, he sets out to be someone of importance. He does it. Like, it's interesting. It's one idea and we follow it. There's many different incarnations. There's many different challenges that arise, but one conflict. Can I do something spectacular at this point in my life? And yeah, he sets on a path and he does it. So for people kind of listening and looking which stories to put in, I would say don't, I'd say try to stay away from cramming as many stories as possible. I would say think about one track. And that could be if you're presenting, if you're teaching, if you're coaching, a time where you didn't know this information, and how did you kind of string along the pieces of the puzzle, or the string of pearls, or how did you organize all the information that you needed to learn to get to your position to be able to help others? That's kind of the thread of what I teach people, is find one major conflict, and then how do you resolve that?
I
Does
love
that
that.
answer that question? Does that
Yeah, 100%. I love that because it takes that core theme, and it's the same as what I teach people with their offers. It's, you don't only have to have one offer in your business. Even though I help people a lot with creating their scalable signature offer, eventually you build out an entire suite. But what you don't want is a whole lot of disconnected offerings that don't make any sense. You want everything basically solving the same problem, or solving different levels or evolutions of the same problem. And so it sounds like it aligns with that really nicely, which makes so much sense.
Well, that's what's so great. Like, if anyone's ever had the chance to talk to Krista, it's a phenomenal experience, because you'll like listen and you'll be like, it's this, and that's why we love storytelling. Storytelling, like, life is not chronological. They say, like, time is not chronological, even though I think it is, but like, it's not. Like, when we think back, to the past X amount of years, like, it's not like one thing after another. Like, I can select from 1985 and I can select from 2003, right? So it's not linear, but storytelling makes everything organized and linear in a fashion that our brain can understand, right? So it makes it easier. That's what I love about the lean out method, where you are able to just synthesize, or like really hone in on what is at the core, what is at the root. That's pleasurable to be a part of. Same thing when we select stories. Hone in on one idea, one issue that can be resolved. Don't resolve every issue, right? Like, focus on the kitchen, not the whole house, if you're going to remodel.
Oh my God. I love it. It's so good. And so let's talk about storytelling in the context of sales.
Yeah.
Because I know that's a lot of what you help people do, right? Is not only creating content that sells, but creating stories to help with those sales. So talk about it in that context.
So I'm sure everyone I'm positive, like, everyone who's probably listening to this has gotten that email from that guy on LinkedIn, that's like, "Hi, thank you for connecting. I want to take a moment and tell you about myself." Right? Like, I didn't ask. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you to connect. Second of all, no, like, I don't want to talk to you. Right? That stuff is painful. I think storytelling in sales is, when done well, is so much more impactful, and it shares that excitement, right? Because when, like, I'm listening to Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy right now, and he talks about, like, really, sales at its core is this idea of sharing excitement. And so when I'm not, I don't even feel like I'm prospecting anymore. When I meet someone that I'm excited about and I go, "Ooh, I want to direct your play." I always say, "I want to direct your play." And I mean it. I'm like, and if I don't, there's some people I meet that I don't want to direct their plays. I'm like, "Yeah, no, thank you." But if I see something that I'm excited about, I want to direct your play. And then I tell them how they're going to succeed. Not me. I seldom talk about what I do. I always talk about what they do and how they're going to succeed, how they're going to get closer to what they want. So storytelling in sales is all about positioning the audience member as the hero and articulating for them what they want based on your research, based on your real authentic understanding, and a keen sense as an industry expert of what is standing in the way of them getting it. So if I started off just as a public speaking coach, and so that one's easy, right? Like, you need to be, as a business owner, you need to be out there presenting and talking about it. Public speaking is a great way to get in front of a live audience, whether it be on Zoom or, like, in person. The idea is, you're getting in front of a live audience, you have that touch point, you can connect, you can adapt, you can really bond with your audience, and thereby they can see if you're a good fit for them, right? So we talked about the outcome. We talk about what they want. You want more clients. Here's a very direct way to get it. It wasn't just like, when I coach, let me tell you about myself on LinkedIn. Me. No, it was, here's the story. You're going to start here. You want this. This is standing in your way. Here's how we're going to walk through the precipice. Here's how we're going to walk through the transformation. That is how we use story. You paint them as the lead character, and you're the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the sage, the guide, whatever you want to talk about. And then here's how you help them evolve. Construct all the information to help them really experience you and see your value.
All right, I love that. And for anybody who does not know about my obsession with Star Wars, you win me over with Star Wars references every single time. My dogs are Chewbacca and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, just saying.
Glad you're a Star Wars fan. I'm like, I know.
I love it. All right. So what do you think stops people? Like, I think about this and, I used to struggle a lot with being on video. That's part of why we started working together. But I think, even when it comes to story, I know a lot of my clients are reluctant to share their story or don't feel like they have a good enough story. And so what do you see? Where do you see people hold themselves back, and what gets in the way of people creating and sharing their stories, or creating content that sells, or doing the things that are so critical for people to get the results that they want in their business?
Phenomenal question. I think being seen. I think literally the concept of losing control over how people perceive you is daunting, terrifying, and it's just angst-inducing. Because in my safe little bubble, in my mansion, I'm in a 2-bedroom. I call it my mansion. But so I hold up in here. Great, I'm the star. I sing to the audience of the couch and TV. And that's fine. I don't have to put myself out there. But when I go out and I perform as an entertainer, then I'm losing control. I don't know if they're going to laugh. I don't know if they're going to like me. I don't know if I'm going to have a bad night. I think the same thing goes in business when people try to put themselves out there. The roles are not as defined, right? Like a coach, so many of my clients are coaches, consultants, trainers. They know what they're doing one-on-one in response to someone. Where they then have to go on video, the roles are reversed, right? They are the ones that are sharing. They are the ones that are initiating without being asked. Ostensibly, they think there's nothing to respond to. So the biggest thing I say is always respond. Always create. The difference is when you're creating your videos, create something to respond to versus just responding to someone talking. Now, that being said, you could do a Facebook post or an Instagram post, LinkedIn post. What are the top 3 things what are the top questions you have about scaling, or what are challenges to leaning out your business, right? And then you go, hey, so today I'm going to talk about this question from Jennifer in Kalamazoo, right? Like, so give yourself a reason to respond. I like to think about it like, if I do videos, I energetically put the person in front of me. Like I pretend like I'm talking to them. Like, so do you want anything? I'm just going to go real quick. Do you want it? Okay. Right? Like I'll just like have a conversation with them. It looks crazy, but like what it does is it builds that authentic connection, and it makes me generally respond to something. I learned that as an actor. I hated auditions because I didn't get it. I didn't get how I'm supposed to prepare a monologue and then perform it when the person's not there. And moreover, you're in an office building or something, and people are just like on their phones, So I was like, well, I'm just going to pretend like the person's there. And then somehow that just clicked for me. And I was able to like have a conversation, regardless of what they were doing. I was able to have a conversation. And so that's what I invite people to do with video is still maintain that connection, even though the person's not there. Have a conversation, make it feel authentic, make it feel like it's just growing out of a real need for them to resolve an issue that they have.
I love that. And so mindset has got to be a big part of this for people. And so where does that play in, and how do you coach people and help people push through their fears of telling their story or being on video or whatever that is for them?
I know mindset's huge. Mindset is how I got out of what I was called rock bottom apartments. When I came here, we lost everything. I was living in my parents' basement. This was like years ago. The first thing I did was I found a mindset coach, and just that was like my biggest issue. I think there's a real balance. When I work with clients, we find the balance of no, this is really not right for me, or I'm terrified. If it's just I'm terrified, that's easy. We can work through it by empowering. Well, what would make you comfortable? Do you want someone there? Do you want a coach there? I direct a lot of podcast episodes for clients. So that for them, it's just comfortable having me on the other side of the screen. So you never see me in the episode, but they're like, we'll coach it, we'll work it out, and then they're talking to me. So that's helpful. Great. That's not stopping them from doing a podcast, especially a solo episode, right? So it's finding that balance of like, well, maybe I've told people have come to me like for podcasts, and I'm like, you don't want one. And then I remember this one woman last year in 2020, we're recording this in December of 2021, but in 2020, I remember a woman came to me in the summer and was like, I need to do a podcast. Everyone's telling me to do a podcast because everyone was doing podcasts. And I was like, yeah, but like, you don't want it. Like, I see it in your eyes. You're not interested. And she started crying. And she was just like, oh my God. She's like, I don't want this at all. I don't want all this marketing stuff that people are telling me to do. I just want to work with my clients. So again, it's not to say that she didn't end up marketing her business. She found another way to do it. And she found another, I didn't end up working with her, so I don't know. But like, I see her every so often on LinkedIn. She's crushing it. So she found something that works for her. So again, I think this is being really honest with yourself and going, is this something I just flip and despise? Like, I just hate this. I don't want to be seen in this way. I want to be seen in another way that I can do consistently and create, in a way that's more conducive. Or is it just like, oh my God, I'm so scared? If it is, I'm so scared, then hire someone, help someone. Like, there's plenty of experts out there. There's production people, there's directors, there's writers. I mean, there's so many people nowadays that can help you, I think, get over that hurdle, that it's kind of like sky's the limit. There's so many options.
Yeah, definitely. And I loved so much of what you shared in there, and especially the fact that you encouraged her to not do the thing that she clearly did not want to do. And I
Yeah.
think so often it's easy to think that there's only one way to do something, or like you're behind because everybody else has a podcast and you don't have one. And so you better go launch one. But there's a million different paths to success. It's all about what's right for you. So I love that that was what you shared with her. All right, so there's one question that I really want to dive into. It's something I know you talk about a lot, and it's all about impactful content. And so, how can you create impactful content that expresses your expertise, but also your passions and really just reflects you?
Yeah, great question. So the impact piece really revolves around how are you impacting others, right? How are you serving others? And I think a lot of people get really tripped up when they're creating their videos, their podcasts, their blogs, their emails, all the things, their presentations, workshops. They just like, well, I have so much I want to get out there. I have so much information I want to share. And I go, again, like, impact. To make an impact, someone just has to hear in that moment one thing that is going to change their lives. The more you know them, the more you really understand and care about your people, the more you can be in service to them. So when creating content, again, I've listed the various scope of content, but think about what are different challenges, right? If I have a nutritionist client, maybe, then we would create something like, let's say, a video about 3 ways to spice up your low carb diet, or 3 ways to reconnect with your taste buds or something, right? Like, so thinking about what are everyday situations, everyday issues that your clients are going through that stop them from achieving their goals. So in the nutrition, it's health, it's weight loss, it's all the things, right? So what are different segments, what are different components of their challenge, the client's challenge, that you want to address? And that is how we create that impact, so that we just assume positively, like, open your heart up to the possibility that your perfect person is going on YouTube right now and searching, how do I speak better? How do I create content that sells? How do I lean out my business? How do I focus on one market? How do I scale? Right? Like, what are people looking up? But there's websites where you can see what people are searching. You can see what are the top searches in any given field. And from there, you can build content like no tomorrow. What are people in your industry looking for? What's keeping them up at night? I don't like to say pain points, but like, what are they interested in? What problems do they want to solve? And that's how you create the impact, with content.
I love that. Yeah, so I'd love to share a little bit about my early video journey pre-Ron. But what had happened was I had created this video many years ago. It was probably at least 10 years ago now. And it went viral. It went viral on YouTube. It's at almost 1 million views now.
Wow.
And I did the one thing that I never should have done, which is look at the comments.
Oh.
And when I think of the comments, I mean, 90% of them are glowing. People loved the video. It was great. But of course, which comments do I pay attention to and remember? The ones that were not glowing and that were the troll comments, right? And I didn't even realize how I let that impact showing up on video, or in my case, not showing up on video for almost 10 years. And I didn't make the association that it was that experience that kept me from doing it. But I was sitting with somebody at an Allie Brown event and we were talking, and she was like, what do you think it's really going to take for you to, achieve the vision that you have for your business this year? And I said, I think I really need to start doing more video. I need to start connecting with people better. I'm much better in person. And if I can't be in person, video is the next best thing. And she said, well, why aren't you doing video? And it came to me that it was because I was trying to avoid the negative comments. And I didn't even do that consciously. It was in that moment that I realized it. And then I thought about it afterwards. And I was like, for almost 10 years, I have not been showing up and helping the people that I can help because I was worried that some idiot on YouTube was going to say something that had nothing at all to do with me. They probably just went from like troll comment to troll comment to troll comment and as many videos as they could. And at the end of the day, like I was holding back from helping the people who actually could benefit from what I had to share because of fear of something stupid that somebody would say. And it was in that moment, making it not about me, but making it about the people that I could help. And the fact that me showing up can help somebody, that was what completely shifted things and got me doing video and then eventually working with you to do video better.
Well, yeah, that's huge. Like, can I ask, like, what's one thing that they said that was horrific?
It was honestly, so here's the thing, right? I have been doing what I've been doing for a really long time. As we said at the beginning of this episode, it's going on 22 years now, right? And I actually have owned businesses for more than 30, but who's counting? And so I've been doing what I do for a long time. You could say anything you want about my business knowledge and it will roll right off me. Doesn't really matter because I know what I'm talking about. I've done this for so long. But you insult how I look or my weight, completely different, and that gets me. And that was what they did. They insulted my weight, right? If you guys have never seen me, I am not a thin person. And they made sure to highlight the fact that I was not a thin person. And so that is my own personal insecurities and the one hang up that I have, right? Like, I don't care what you say about what I have to say, but talk about how I look. And that was what really got me. And I think I probably did what a lot of people do, thinking, well, I'll get back on video when I lose weight. Or I'll get back on video when I feel better about how I look and I don't care about my weight. And at the end of the day, I just started doing video again. Like it wasn't, I stopped waiting for this magical moment to feel like it was a good idea to go back on video again. I just needed to be on video so that I could share what other people needed to hear. And it wasn't about me.
I'm so sorry about that. Like, that is horrific. Like, I think we've talked about, like, I battled weight my whole life. And like, I used to be very heavy and like, it's the one, I still maintain, people talk about fat shaming and stuff, but it's the one thing that people really still do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, or that it's acceptable to do in a way, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's horrific. Like, you couldn't, like, if that person had written anything else that was derogatory or evil like that, they would have been shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I hope nothing but the worst for that person. So I'm not going to apologize for that. Like, I want bad things for them. And I'm about the abundance mindset, but that's awful. Like, that level of cruelty. Ugh. Anyway, I have nothing genius to say. I'm just really sorry about that.
No big deal. Like,
and good for you.
It's part of the learning. Like, I look back and I'm like, I can't believe that I let somebody else influence what I did with my life for that many years without even consciously realizing it. If I had realized it, I don't think I would have allowed it to happen, but I didn't, because I think we do this amazing job of convincing ourselves of things. And I just thought I just wasn't a video person. And I just, it's like we tell ourselves all of these stories, but at the end of the day, I think it was ultimately that fear of getting more comments like that kept me from, I wouldn't be here on this podcast right now. We're on video.
Right.
For those of you listening, you can go see the video on YouTube. But that being said, it's, all of that, like, why hold yourself back for fear of what some idiot honestly is going to say, right? The people who need to hear what you have to say, they're the ones that you're doing it for.
And you can be strategic about that too, right? Like, to that point where it's like, what's cool about creating content is that, it's not just, it doesn't just have to be for the masses. You could have it be unlisted. Your like a YouTube link can be unlisted that you just literally use in an email to your people, to your tribe. And I say that to not to enable, but to say, like, listen, get your material out there. Like if someone needs to hear it, if the person needs to hear it, like, maybe you met them at a networking event, or maybe a friend of yours connected you to someone and they were like, your friend's like, oh, by the way, they have this issue that you work with. Great, send them a video on a topic that speaks to them. Maybe you're like, maybe you make the video for them, or you're like, oh, I did a video a few weeks ago about this thing. Let me send it to you, right? Like these pieces of content are great calling cards, and they're gifts. We have to remember that these are gifts. You've taken the time to create the material, give it to them, like have them play with it, so that they can have it and use it whenever and come back to it whenever they want. So yeah, like the more you hold, like the more we all kind of don't show up, the less we're helping people in need. So it's a vicious cycle, and hate is gonna hate.
Sad, but true. But I love that. And I think, it is all about in our business, right? We're here to generate sales. We're here to generate profit, and we're here to make an impact, but we're able to make that impact through the sales that we're able to generate.
Yeah.
And so why not focus on creating content that is impactful and that does end up with the results that we want? All right. So tell everyone all about you. Where can they find you? What's coming up for you?
Yeah, a lot of great things, actually, huge things. So artfulspeaking.com is my website, artful with one L, artfulspeaking.com. Doing a lot of group works and group coachings, workshops. There will be all that information on the website. But yeah, I mean, there's been positively the past 2 years, especially, so much demand for especially female entrepreneurs that where the sales piece is so foreign and it's so obstructed by this perception of hard selling and everything has to be hard. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It can be you just sharing your passion, getting someone else excited, really helping people, solving problems for people. And that's my clients, they see incredible results because we come at it from a storytelling perspective, from a humor. I do a lot of writing jokes with clients that are their jokes, not my jokes, like that are in their voice. All because humor and levity like really opens people up and it's relatable. And then, at the core of everything we're doing, we're building connection, we're building relationships, we're fostering support and resource, for people that want things and people that want to grow and want to try different things and they want help. So check out artfulspeaking.com. And that's it. I mean, I'm kind of exclusive, so it's like I don't blast on social media. I don't do too much in that regard. So if this resonates with people and they want to learn more, like let's hop on a call. I don't do 30-minute calls. I do as long as we need to. Like let's really connect. Yeah. So if you can also reach me at ron@artfulspeaking.com, and we'll see for a connection.
And so I want to ask you the question that I ask everybody. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. But for your business, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean?
The biggest thing I do whenever I'm tensing or fearful or feeling like it's hard work, I just call my friend Megan Conter. And she will just sing to me on the phone, or like she'll boxer me and she'll just make me laugh. And so I think that's just literally asking for help, and like that's it. Like asking for help, asking for support is just how I make it easier. And just remembering that like if it's hard, I'm not doing it right. Like if it's a stretch, if it's a stretch vocally, I shouldn't be singing that note. Like for me, like singing Journey is easy. Singing like lower stuff, like it sounds terrible, And so like if I just shouldn't be singing it, then like that's fine, So I'll fake it, like or whatever. But the point is that if you're straining, it's part of one of two things. Maybe I don't want to just dismiss it. If you're straining, then let's look at how much tension you're applying to it. Are you trying to force something into submission, or is there a way to do it easier? Like is there a way just to back off and go, I'm straining because I'm insecure about this, or I'm straining because I don't think I can hit the note, or I don't have the training to hit the note. So maybe I say the note as a metaphor, like whatever it is that you want. So yeah, like I think bottom line, like if something is hard, is it that you don't have the right training, support, vision, strategy, or maybe it's just not for you?
I love that. And that fits so beautifully with leaning out. So excellent answer. And with that, we will have our mic drop moment, and we will see you guys again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show, and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community, where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.